And before we start, I wanted to say hi to everyone. Very excited to see a lot of logos and faces that I recognize. A lot of burgers tonight showing up. Very excited about this one. I don't know if we're going to record this one, Benji. A lot of people have asked me this question. Um,
Yeah, I have a recording going just in case we decide to publish it. Maybe I can unlist it on the Smart Talk channel or something like that. But just in case we want to rewind, it is being recorded and we probably have Nico Konut in the room. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a recap of this that will be coming up as soon as we
so,
finish. I don't see him right now, but hmm. Oh yeah, here he is.
are
Yep.
you going to get here?
Yeah, he's here. So we'll probably see a recap. No pressure, Nico Konut.
Well, I think so. Maybe just before starting and making sure like people get in. If there's anyone who wants to, what do you guys would like to hear tonight? Like, well, we have a few things on the agenda, of course, for you, but I just wanted to know, like, what do you guys want to hear? What do you guys want to talk into? Because this is definitely not a presentation. This is really, I would say, more a brainstorming session than anything else. Obviously, we're going to talk about the CHSB, we're going to talk about the Series A, and then any other topic that you guys are interested in hearing and talking about. That's really what I wish the most about here. And yeah, so anyone could come up with whatever he or she wants to talk about tonight.
Yeah,
Don't be shy.
if anyone wants to send a message, it would be helpful if you sent it in the Smart Talk Smart Talk stage channel, the one that's at the top right of all of your screens. You could directly open it, and that way we can check it without moving in too many channels. It helps in case we're publishing this, it will help with keeping everything in one place. So I see Andy's typing in there. I can tag at English, and here you'll have a ping, so it should be easy for everyone to find. So feel free to write in there. And yeah, I think a nice intro, Cyrus, could be um, to talk about the next steps for CHSB. I know that there's some things that are mentioned in the powwow, so maybe not going over everything twice, but I know that there are some details on the Myra board who are going to be bringing a lot of questions. So maybe it could be a good idea to talk about some of that stuff here now that we have you, rather than wait later and get it as 5 different questions of the week or something like that.
Okay. Well, I mean, later on the powwow, we're going to talk about more of the bigger vision of SwissBorg and how we'll get to the next stage and where we want to head with this. I think so. But I think that in general, what we really aspire to, as I mentioned multiple times, and I think so, Alex is doing a lot of work on this too. So he couldn't make it tonight, but he will. We will come back with a more official, let's say, presentation and how we could show these things. But what we've talked about is I think so. The biggest goal of SwissBorg Token today is to see how do we grow from intranet model to internet model. And that goes for SwissBorg Token, it goes to SwissBorg in general. As you guys know, we have extremely started very decentralized, the most decentralized 25,000 people from the ICO with then eventually 149 countries. And then we got to build essentially, I mean, do the referendums, one and two, which was very decentralized again. It was very cool. It was all on chain. To then go to 2020 when we released the SwissBorg app and to bring more SwissBorg tokens into the app and try to get ways to become premium, to lock these premiums, to then start to look into how we're able to offer yields. And then as the more we've grown, the more we've tried to figure out, I would say, different governance plays as well. Some that went very cool, as the referendums. Some that we initiated with the SwissBorg Nation, which I think was a fantastic idea. The implementation was not the best because it was hard for the National Council to come with ideas and then to pass these ideas. It was easy to make great ideas, but then it was very hard for us to implement those ideas, which we're still, by the way, doing that. And I think so. This is exactly where we want to head in the next semester. This semester, at least for Sport Open, but and the vision of SwissBorg is how we can really decentralize essentially our token and our entire ecosystem. So that's really what we aspire to is how to give a life of the SwissBorg token, not in the SwissBorg app only, but in the entire essentially Web3 landscape. That's really what we want to do. For that, there's many changes that need to happen. I'm not sure I'm going to go through all the changes today, but there's going to have to be a lot of new changes, essentially, where some of them are technically, then some of them is reorganizing ourselves in terms of how we re-implement SB Nation, how all people listening here, how you get to have a voice, but then more than a voice, to have really something you guys can act on doing more stuff that could maybe be more autonomous, not that we have to build, but how you essentially could, with a certain amount of budget, build whatever things you believe that you should be building for us, and how to then have as well, essentially a SwissBorg token in different DeFi protocols, right? That is something that we really need to, because today we have, if I'm not mistaken, 149,000 SwissBorg token holders, which is fantastic. We have 40,000 premium members, which is again crazy numbers. How do we 10x these numbers? That's the question. And I think so we could only 10x this, obviously, if the app grows and each big phase will bring more people. But I think so how can we tap into more bigger markets? This is through the Web3 dApps. Can you, Luke, can you make the promise of not inflating situations play with these changes? So that was a very I could run you one question. And this is, let's make it just a quick vote. Okay? Okay. So if you agree with Luca, okay, you put on the thumb up, okay? And before doing that, wait, let me go for, and I'll say inflating supply, okay? Inflating supply. So just before don't let me hear you out, because this has been one of the topics that we have a lot of discussions about recently in the last 3 weeks at least. So you probably have already heard about hedge farm. Is that correct or not? If everyone has heard about hedge farm.
Everyone's heard. Well, maybe not everyone here, but at least most of them, because we did have Aurélien do a smart talk to present it.
So hedge farm finance. Hedge farm and then finance is here. I think so. This is the right. It doesn't give a link. Okay, it doesn't give a link, but this is the website there. Hedge farm finance. So, there's yeah. So thanks for this. You need to put HTTPS. So thanks, Oster, for trusting me. So just to make things clear, so hedge farm is the DeFi team of essentially SwissBorg. And what we're trying to do is that whatever we're bringing essentially into the SwissBorg app, we're trying to do this on hedge farm as well. And whatever we're doing on hedge farm finance, we eventually like to bring it into the app as well. So this could be like a like a program where we are offering better than the smart yield towards any DeFi person, and that could be as well a way where we borrowers in the app could get access to these different vaults and these different strategies. So I hope you hear where we're going from, right? And these teams work very closely together, right? It's no external team. It's a SwissBorg team for now. And just last thing, just to make things clear, I personally put some money up there. It's still an early project. This hasn't been audited through all the different auditors, only by SwissBorg. So there is a much higher risk into hedge fund finance today in terms of operation risk and smart and audit risk. However, the strategies themselves are very good ones. And for now, we're not yet investing from SwissBorg to hedge fund. But eventually we'll get there. And by thinking about this is the layer 3 in some way of essentially of SwissBorg into Web3, right? Layer 3 is just earning the opportunities, right? So now let me hear you. Let you hear me, and then I let you hear you guys about this. So if you understand the business of these different DeFi vaults, very often, such as the SwissBorg token or whatsoever, in order to essentially be very profitable, very often you have big investors, whales, that buy the token. With the token, then they hope to make whatever X, and they bring TVL, total value locked, essentially funds into these different strategies to grow essentially the platform and to give it some credibility. So that's why these platforms very often on Web3 look for big whales in the beginning, right? We haven't done that yet, just to things clear. And by doing that, what essentially it is that we could create essentially a new token, hedge farm token, right? And then people will log in whatsoever, and there you go. So that's one possibility. The second possibility is that we essentially put CHSB as a token of governance, and people could start farming that token on this platform. And that means it gives straight utility of the CHSB, not only into the SwissBorg ecosystem, which is on the app itself, but it gives directly a utility into essentially hedge farm with the SwissBorg token right away. So that's a great utility, and no one could deny that, right? Especially when the hedge farm is going to be is going to start to be a big protocol. However, for this, we need whales to buy SwissBorg token. And the whales usually do not commit on market caps that are over 100 million or 50 million. They go for smaller things. They get locked, and then essentially they hope to go to the moon. So second, even if we do that, is that we will need to have tokens from somewhere. So if we do give straight away SwissBorg token as the token itself for essentially hedge farm, we would need, if tomorrow we're swapping the SwissBorg token, which probably is going to happen quite soon for technical reasons and for listing reasons and for different other things, we would need then to create a new SwissBorg token and then potentially change the supply. So that's the number one. The number two idea, which I'm going to be neutral and then I'll see which one I voted for, is to create a hedge farm token. And people will buy this hedge fund token. However, people with the SwissBorg token that creates a special pool of, let's say, CHSB USD or CHSB Ether, whatever, doesn't really matter, does farm this token. So people could, like, maybe the big whales could potentially buy this new hedge farm token and essentially, a lock of 1 year, 2 year, whatever it is. But you could farm this token right away if you have SwissBorg tokens and you put some liquidity into DeFi and you get a yield, and the yield essentially is this new hedge farm token. So these are the two ways essentially to do that. So it's rather you bring a higher supply, you create a new supply, essentially SwissBorg tokens, or essentially you start farming hedge farm with the SwissBorg token. And then hedge farm will have its own essentially token that will have its governance. So in this in this in this case, who believes that it's better to inflate the supply? It looks like no one. So, so Lucas 096, I was for that reason as well. I would say to not touch the supply because I think so. We always want to make this, deflationary token and reducing the supplies. I think so. What makes everyone happy and it's economically more viable. But I'm happy that you guys have voted before hearing me out. But these are, for example, some of the utilities that we're going to bring in the future is how the SwissBorg token could have a very strong life within the rest of the ecosystem. And hedge farm, for example, is one very strong candidate that we like to really bring in order to, I think so, grow and show the world that we are very good with our app. We're very good building decentralized applications as well and having a bigger life into the DeFi scope.
Nice. I didn't know a hedge farm was maybe going to take so much of a consequent role in SwissBorg. I think there's two pillars of questions that the community are having, and one is the message that you sent in the National Council last week. A lot of people are thinking that you're planning on reanimating this, and if you are or if you're not, it could be cool to have some insights on this. And then
that's a very good. So, as you guys know, we never put down the SB Nation. We put it on pause, and we realized that it was not yet the best way to essentially be able to take the best from it. The idea was good. The implementation was a bit harder and trickier to implement. However, I still believe that it's something that has a lot of value, and I think so. We're definitely gonna create an SB Nation that's going to be comparable of what we've done in the past. We're still trying to figure out different ways. I think that in the meantime, what we really have to bring is twofold: is bring back the mission to the core, which is to decentralize essentially SwissBorg. And I think so. We all agree on that. I mean, as much as I love having my position, I rather eventually have a lot of activities, a lot of decisions that could be run through the community. And I think so. That's probably the thing that will make the most sense, that people like the most. We even have that same. We had this very right now. Not to get you guys too crazy, but there's few exchanges that we're in talk with for listing purposes, and some of these exchanges have demonstrated like, oh well, yeah, you guys don't use Snapshot for voting. It's who has the core, the decision makers, who are the people that are running the show and all of that. And everyone realized that SwissBorg today is one of the strongest community. However, the presence on chain is not yet perfect. Just to make things clear, most protocols, there's very few people that have today a decentralized governance, just to make things clear. If you look at participation in voting in any protocol today, it's very, very low, much lower than what we actually do. But we still need to have more an on-chain process, and that's something that we're working hard. Essentially, is how to give a life and how to eventually, I would say, go from our SwissBorg token that we have and make a swap. Essentially, that's the biggest news I could give you today. Is we're gonna go through a swap of token, and it's gonna be a new token that's gonna have new technology behind. It's gonna be much better for voting. It's gonna be much better for on chain. It's going to have a much lighter weight, so less carbon footprint as well, which is important because our token is a great one. In 2017, things have evolved a lot since.
Nice. There are a few questions of people who have some wonders of everything that you just said. Julianas would like a one-page explanation with more written details for all of this. Is anything plans for the blog? Maybe we should.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Like, what we're gonna do is to write a white paper. I think so. That's really where we're heading. I think so. We could still have discussions on different initiatives that we want to bring to the SwissBorg token itself. Because the last white paper, I mean, of course, we brought the community index and different things that have made evolved the SwissBorg token. We still believe that the premium model is one of the best model that we could have. We still believe the protect and burn is something that's very important. I think so. The protect and choose has been something that some people don't necessarily all like or not like. But I think so. This is probably something which we would love to see continuing, where people could vote on the fact that, let's say, tomorrow we have a big pot of SwissBorg tokens that we could buy and burn. Um, Maybe some of those tokens, some of that budget could go to whatever we feel is the best. And I think so that could be a cool way to run as a more an SB Nation and have a budget for whatever you guys believe is the best. So that's definitely something that I would love to see going in the future. And then yeah, there's more things, but I can't bring too much spoilers here. There's a lot of exciting things that I need the rest of the team to share with you guys. I don't want to come up with
Yeah, and we'll have some of them starting with Andre next week. He'll be talking about DCA and the long-term vision for that product, and I'm sure we'll see many others for the other products as well. There are a lot of questions about the time frame for that swap. Do you have a quarter you are hoping on without giving a certain date, obviously? But um, some kind of target? Yeah.
Well, I'll take what Urban Penguin is saying. So, in my opinion, the current premium model is really not working, and we'll see the same issues once the PRSH goes up. Ideally, it would have been a various monthly annual subscription and fiat. Some of this would buy CHSB and burns and keeps taking premium. So that's definitely that's funny that you're saying that. Yeah, I don't want to. There's something very similar. Urban Penguin there, and I don't think so. It's too late. I think so. It's never too late to make different changes. I think so. There's some definitely things that work very well for the premium models, which is the status and all that. But there might be other subscription models a la carte that could be working very well, and I know Alex is working very hard on this. So that's 100% something that we're looking at. What we'd be looking as well is the fact that premium models cannot work forever. Like if you stake 20,000 SwissBorg tokens for the generation, for example, at the end of the year, you would probably need to burn some of those tokens or need to next year to maybe compensate a bit more in order. Because if you just buy your premium model and then you stack forever and you're supposed to get always the same service, that model doesn't work either, right? So we're definitely finding ways which essentially we could bring more premium, more as well things like carte that can enable us to have a greater way to, I would say, have a more sustainable premium model, I would say, and staking mechanisms to SwissBorg token. The the yield 2.0 to get rid of whales, and now you want to inflate supply to onboard whales. So no, I don't think so. This is going to happen. These were the two different talks I was saying just earlier. Nick, before applying tokenomics chains, I hope will be a referendum. CHSB. Yeah, I think so. That's the idea. We're like whatever the big changes that we want to make, there's definitely going to be some votes that are going to happen. Probably off chain because it'll be much easier for the beginning. But then obviously we want to have it more and more on chain. Does hedge fund need to need a token just to raise funds, or there's more behind? Yes, Clerk. There is much more to be with a token, and the token will have more use cases to be played into the ecosystem. So these are really, really important. But I don't want to. I mean, Aurélien will. I'm sure Aurélien has came already here a few times. And we'll come again to talk more about what we're building on our wonderful deep decentralized financial applications. Swap means we change our Ether-based token to ones from another chain. I don't want to. We're gonna stay on Ethereum, but it's just gonna change the contract, so we'll change the tokens itself and the within. Percentage model means everyone has to keep buying CHSB. Thank you, Baracola. Predicts Harry. What about the role of the financial sustainability when you're putting the kill milestones to make self-sufficient? Yeah, I think so. For already changing the smart contract itself, I think so. This is very important. The financial sustainability to SwissBorg, I think so. Going forward, there's going to be talks about the yield. We know that the yield 2.0 has we tried really to go from the yields, then we realized the yield had too much whales that was taking up too much percentage, and now we realized that the yield 2.0 it's good, but it's not really sustainable. And more importantly, it's definitely not the best option for us to get delisted anyplace. So a lot of different exchanges, the big ones, essentially have disqualified our token for that reason. And there's other different things that I can't talk about too much here, but the yield is very complicated. I think so. What we've always built is something meritocracy within SwissBorg. And I think so. What we need to going forward is to reward people based on actions, not just staking tokens. That's not enough to get a yield, right? And more importantly, if the yield comes from our supply, which is the case today, it's not sustainable. So it goes back to, I think, so what Harry you were saying. And I think so that's really the big objective of SwissBorg is how to have a real economy with our token itself. So that's definitely a big chapter that we want to build. And
I just see a few questions, Cyrus, about the inflationary model that you were talking about before. That was just a hypothetical, right? It was just a choice between two different ways that you could solve one issue, and it's probably not the way that you'll be going with. Or did I misunderstand?
No, so yeah, exactly. We had a vote on this. It was 7 versus 1. So 7 people were against changing the supply, and 1 person was for potentially changing the supply.
Okay, so it's not changing.
Because yeah, it's not changing, but it has worked extremely well for some cases. Aave is a very good example. When it went from ETH Lend to Aave, it changed the supply. And Aave is fantastic, investments, a fantastic protocol. So yeah. Anyways, long term, sure, we're not changing supply.
Perfect. Nice. It's clearing that.
Don't get worried about that.
It was going to cause some fun, so just glad to clear that out of the way. Yeah.
And then during this this powwow that's starting right now, I'm going to talk more about essentially the vision of how SwissBorg wants to go from this really, we did extremely well to bridge the on-chain, the off-chain world. We did it in the best way possible. It's like building intranets. But now we want to build, I would say, internets and how we could become the same ecosystem, but powered by all the Web3. And by doing and plugging into Web3, not only you get to touch the masses, the next billion users, but all these different countries, all these different dApps that are such much easier to integrate, much easier to connect, much easier to give an influence on the Web3 industry. And I think so. This is right now what is the most exciting is not only the SwissBorg token and how it will have its wonderful space into the Web3, but essentially how we at SwissBorg, we create that simple infrastructure, that really secure infrastructure, those great wallets that could give you navigate between intranets to internets and having, the exactly same SwissBorg experience. And I think so. This is exactly what we're going to rocket from, 700,000 users to 7 million, hopefully one day 70 million, right? It's not only relying on getting the app and using the app itself, but how to get with a browser, get into your desktop and connect to whoever you want in the most safe, simple, and SwissBorg way. So this is where I'm most excited, where I think a lot of more excited at SwissBorg. For this, we have to continue, of course, with Series A. We have to push. We have to get to at least 20 million in order to really be able to commit to that decentralized vision. But I'm very confident to say that we have 24 more days and a lot could be done the next 24 days. And there's a lot of special surprises that will come in. Sounds like a 5-year mission. Yeah, I think so. That's exactly it, Oster. I think so. Look, we did the 5 years. And to be honest, we, not everything went perfect, far away from that. I think so. We had a slow start in 2018, 19. But 20 was a good ramp up year. 21 was just crazy. 22 was crazy on many sides. 23 is now how we reposition ourselves, and in the next 5 years, how we become the default option of Web3, how we become the Chrome browser, the Brave browser of Web3, and how you get a great experience regardless of wherever you are, wherever you're based. And if you lose your private keys, if you want to go into DeFi, whatever, it doesn't matter. You go back safe to SwissBorg home. We regenerate your private keys, and then you enjoy your full experience with Web3. That's really what we want to build, and where I'm the most excited. Besides, of course, your Series A, which is 24 more days and 2-3 more hours to run. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I would like to have this more often, of course. I really love it. I'm a bit disappointed that I'm the only one talking, but I thought we'll be able to chat here. But I'm still very excited.
Yeah, we
and
can
I hope
start
you
doing
guys are excited.
a community brainstorming one of these weeks where we have just a big whiteboard in the middle and everyone can contribute and or speak up. But 64 people speaking up at the same time would probably be quite complicated, so I have to figure it out. Either that or we could do it with some people I choose objectively, or I try to. Well, we'll figure it out, but I think it's a nice starting point. You sprung some ideas there. I'm sure a lot of people will be talking about the different topics that we mentioned. I'll upload it as unlisted so people can rewind it as well. Yeah.
And I think so. There's one thing, Luca 96, I think so, and Dr. for Hugs as well. Love the name. That's very important. I think so. It's very important to understand the difference between shares and then I know we went through it many times. I'll just do a quickly one. So where there could be like a disinterest between tokens and shareholders is that if shareholders, for example, don't have tokens. In this case, doesn't exist. There's not one shareholder at SwissBorg out of the 13,300 plus the 200, so 13,500 that don't have both. So this is the first thing that's very important. So until we have those people that have shares and tokens, they're never going to be a conflict. Number two, which is very important, is that where there could be conflict is on the governance of the company. And the governance of the company for shareholders, for example, I always say it's something that is extremely strategic. So, for example, right now we're looking at the potential franchise model. What does a franchise model mean? It's like for countries that we don't have expertise, for countries that we don't have the manpower, the know-how, and the lack of funds that we have, we are ready, SwissBorg, to say like, okay, you want to open this country, let's say Nigeria. You want to go to Nigeria. We have the tech. We know how to run things. but we're not going to be able to tackle that country. If you want to vote on a franchise model, this is going to go for example, shareholders. And shareholders will essentially will be able then to say, yes, no, this is good, and we'll be able to grow essentially SwissBorg or Nigeria Borg, and this will enable us to make revenue through this splitting revenues, and this is a good thing. The token itself, it's really more on, let's say, onboarding, for example, which type of token we would like to list, what type of earn strategy we like to do, what are going to be the next thematics, and all these very important questions that have the live of what's happening on the daily, monthly basis of SwissBorg. So this is where it's very different. Shareholders don't usually take any touch on what happens on the executive part. What it is usually it has an influence potentially on the board. The board has influence on the strategy, and then essentially the executives have all their word to say on what happens on the tactical approaches. So there's much more questions that happen on the tactical and are usually more common. The strategic one is like once every quarter maximum that you try to stage or every semester based on different macro perspectives or different opportunities that we get. So this is very, very important, Luca. And this is something that we have studied very clearly before going into a token. Last question, I'll go for, do you plan consequently to eliminate the yield? So yeah, that's a good question. But do we definitely have to, we really have to tackle this question. And there's no easy way for this. We have to create a yield that is sustainable. That's the most important. And that is yield that comes from out of the treasury of SwissBorg, because if not, we're not going to get listed on the big exchanges, which again is not necessary. But if we want to bring more volume, we need to be eventually at Coinbase. We need to be eventually at Binance. We need to be at Kraken. The other guys. And right now we're in talks with them. We already got twice they said no due to this fact. For one of these exchanges I just mentioned. So yeah, by changing this will definitely give us a lot of more liquidity, a lot of more token holders. And crypto CG, why Cyrus not pay every single yield in CHSB? Yeah, so that is I can't. I'm sorry guys. If I start giving you all the answers, then the next SwissBorg big thing is going to be boring. So, but there's definitely a lot of ideas. Many of them already. I know you guys know, and there's some ideas that we want to implement, some ideas that we cannot implement yet, and because we're building a lot of things at the same time. There's a lot of technical debt that we're going through as well. People don't realize that when we release things, then we have to work a lot on the back end to make sure that things are scalable, right? So it's not that easy. So this is what we're working very hard on, and to have a token that has more rewards, have a more active life into the app, definitely we want to do that. That's for sure. But the big idea here is how to live a decentralized CHSB, a decentralized SwissBorg ecosystem. That's really the big thing that we need to do.
Cool.
And again, we're open to any suggestion that you guys have. I'm always here. I know that recently someone gave me a list of, I don't know, there's like 50, I forgot who it was, but someone on Twitter sent me a message. There's like 50 different things about the CHSB. And as you guys realize, there's one that we put in place recently is that on opportunities, by the way, insane opportunities that are going to come very, very soon. Based on your standard, based on your premium, you get to allocate more or less based on essentially your premium model. So there's whatever you guys always send as recommendation. We try to see if it's a good idea and then see if it's feasible or not. And if it's feasible, we try to implement them. Nagar can understand that point, but if there's more premium levels with higher yield rewards on earn strategies, could be an option to hold more. Yes, so that's a very easy one. Like Nagar, 100%. That was my I think so. We all have that one where you could get. Then there's the Genesis thing that we have to. Yeah, because if it's higher than the Genesis people are not going to be happy. So there's two things there, but definitely we're trying to bring more premiums as we want. That's very important. Ping, CHSB, increase sell pressure. Not necessarily Peracula, sorry, because then you would buy it on the markets. So not necessarily. It could be actually a cool way. You can think about it because let's say whatever you're going 5% USDC right now from Stargate or 4%. If you go 4.5%, that'll be with SwissBorg tokens. So what you would do is that with that 4% of what you do is that 4% of US dollars, you would buy it from the market. That would push essentially the CHSB, and then people will get the CHSB. And then the CHSB essentially, well, if you then sell it, then that'll put some sell pressure, but essentially you're still having a buy pressure on it. But Alex is going to give you guys another workshop. I thought he was going to be here tonight, and he has all these beautiful quadrants. I think so. He explained it yesterday and last week in the Power. But he would like to do another workshop with you. Should ask if CHSB's first, but yeah, there you go. Yeah. And actually, there's one thing that we need to know. We need to make sure the better the volume, the more the token will appreciate. The reason why today, and this is something we should really face, the fact that there's no volume, there's no volatility, it loses. Every token is like that. So what we need is to bring more life as well into volume and trading. And just buying and yodeling is definitely not the way to go. It's good to have tokens removed from the supply, such as the premium model. But the yodel model, to really essentially take all the tokens out of the market, it doesn't create volume, and therefore it's not very healthy itself. Nick, would you be seen as external point of view as being paid market money? Can you introduce a merchant account so people can use smart send? Yeah, that's super difficult. That's a huge. That's definitely. So what we would like to do is eventually have SwissBorg token in one of these different processor company and MoonPay or whatsoever. So I think so that's in the roadmap itself. People could pay eventually with these things, but we cannot do it ourselves. It's entire business itself. How do we engage the trading community? The app right now is not built for traders. Yeah, that's true. I think so. Though with the DCA and hopefully we'll get order limits. I think so. That's one way. But to be honest, what I said again is that we just need to have a lot of volume right now is done on DEXs. A lot more than we think. So if we started bringing utilities and have a more decentralized way of bringing a lot of cool things into SwissBorg, this is going to create a lot of volume on chain. And by listing this on different exchanges, this is going to help as well. And then, of course, if we trade as well, I think so that's something that's important. So I think so. Powell's already finished, guys.
No, you're
I
still
hope you
talking
enjoyed
about
it.
Galactica. They're not missing
Okay, cool.
the little glimpse of the future that's in the Miro board that I hesitated to blur.
Yeah, Percola, I think so. Winich, we know them well. We know the team quite well. Actually, some participate in the Series A themselves. So we're good friends with the whole team. The ones based in Geneva, but as well the guys that are based in Dubai as well, the founders. Yeah, that's definitely a way to go going forward. We don't have any official partnership yet together. We're always trying to find ways if the smart engine gets into their order book, if their order book is into our smart engine. We're trying different ways on how to make it like that. But yeah, I mean, as always, guys, the most important here is that we want your feedback, but not more than that. We want your voice, guys. We really want you to voice up. We need to meet more often. And we need to decentralize a bit the governance and bring more utilities into the decentralized world of SwissBorg token. That's the last thing. So many thanks to you guys. There's the power if you guys want to watch it. It's gonna be fun. Gonna talk about Galactica, talked about NFT Ballman, and the last thing about the decentralized version about SwissBorg. So that's gonna be very exciting for you guys to watch. Please enjoy the show. And much love to everyone here. And as always, be healthy, be wealthy, love our CHSB, and now we're agreeing.
Thank you.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
guys.